Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of Monday Night Raw for March 2nd, 2020. We have Elimination Chamber this coming Sunday on pay-per-view. And of course, we got WrestleMania coming up in just over a month. Tonight's show was in Brooklyn, New York, of course. We had the intro, the pyro, all the good stuff. We kicked off the show with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. Heyman did the usual introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, blah, blah, blah. He talked about this year's WrestleMania being the most stacked lineup in decades. But Heyman said the main event is a sham because Drew McIntyre is a hyped up fraud. Heyman talked about the Royal Rumble and how it was due to Ricochet's low blow that Drew was able to eliminate Lesnar. And then Heyman said that Drew will not be able to pin or tap out Brock Lesnar at the big event. Drew, according to Heyman, is a stupid big bitch that's gonna get squashed. Drew McIntyre came out. Brock Lesnar acted like he was going to walk out of the ring, but then ran towards Drew. Drew caught him with a claymore. Crowd chanted, "You deserve it," at Brock Lesnar. Drew left. Brock finally got up, left the ring. The crowd did the goodbye song, "Na na na na, hey hey hey, goodbye." And as Brock was standing up there on the stage, Drew came in again with a second claymore. Crowd chanted one more time, and there you go. Drew McIntyre delivered with a third claymore on the stage to Brock Lesnar. I thought this was a really strong angle to set up Raw. Drew McIntyre is a force to be reckoned with. That's what the story was portrayed here. Drew McIntyre coming out there and showing Brock Lesnar that he means business with not just one, but three claymore kicks to the beast. I like the fact that they're building up Drew strong, that he's a real threat to Brock when Heyman was out there acting like he's a fraud. Very, very solid opening to this week's edition of Raw. Stephen Field with a $5 super chat. Thank you very much for that, Stephen. I appreciate it. His comment says, most excited for McIntyre versus Lesnar. Good build so far. Yeah, so far so good. Heyman did mention that this was going to be the main event. We shall see if it will in fact be the closing match for WrestleMania. I think it probably should, especially if Drew is winning the title. And I do have to say, Drew looks intimidating there standing next to Brock Lesnar. Drew is actually a little bit taller than Brock, and he definitely has that physique that measures up to Brock. So they're doing a good job with it so far, and we'll see how things play out. Tom McCarthy with a $2 super chat says, hi. Hi, Tom McCarthy. Thank you very much for the super chat, and I appreciate your viewership. So for those of you just tuning in, we got a lot to discuss. We finally found out what was inside Eric Rowan's cage. We had Shayna Baszler compete on Raw. Stay tuned for all that. And if you enjoy this video, please share it on social media. Tell a friend. Spread the word. Anybody you know who watches wrestling, have them check out this video. We had our first match of the evening, which was the Street Profits once again challenging Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. And I guess you could make an argument for this match taking place because Seth Rollins, when he was the illegal man at Super Showdown, he hit the curb stomp. Whatever. This was billed as a now or never match, so I guess if Street Profits lost, they were not going to get another opportunity at the tag team titles. They cut a promo before the match. Montez Ford said, "Where Brooklyn at?" He said they've been working for years to get a chance to become tag team champions, and when the pressure is on, they cook. Rollins and Murphy jumped them before the match even got started. After the commercial break, Street Profits made a comeback. And then we had the AOP. They were standing on the stage. They came down. The referee basically barred them from ringside. However, they decided to get up on the apron and try and distract the referee. Unfortunately for them, this backfired because KO, Kevin Owens, snuck into the ring, and while the referee was busy with AOP, hit Rollins with the Kevin Owens stunner. Montez Ford took advantage of this, went up to the top, hit the big frog splash, and scored the 1-2-3 pinfall over Seth Rollins. That's right. Rollins took the fall due to the stunner from Kevin Owens, and your new WWE Raw Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits. They had a big celebration. Good match here, and looks like we are getting Rollins versus Owens at WrestleMania, and this was the setup for it. WWE did announce a rematch for Elimination Chamber, but I feel like Street Profits will win this third and final match, hopefully, of this feud. And since Rollins got pinned here, I could see Murphy taking the fall at the pay-per-view, and then Rollins goes on to face Owens in a one-on-one match at WrestleMania. The game is on 100 with a $2 super chat. Says, I knew Owens would cost Rollins the tag team titles tonight. Thank you for that super chat. And yeah, as soon as this match was announced, the whole now or never thing, I'm like, looks like the Profits are winning the titles, because why else would WWE do this? It was still good though. And Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, is Montez Ford overrated? Here's the thing about Montez Ford. I know I've been critical of some of their backstage promos, which I feel like, as far as the comedy goes, it's been hit and miss. But Montez Ford's really solid in the ring. He has a lot of charisma, and I do think he has star power. I just think the SNL style skits that they were doing, those were not working. Change it up, try something different as far as the promos go, but in the ring and just his overall charisma, I think the guy does have a lot of potential. All right, this is going to be a fun one here, guys. Ricochet was on Monday Night Raw, and I thought, okay, cool. Ricochet gonna get his win back, and WWE's gonna rebuild him after that squash from Brock Lesnar. Nope. Did not happen. Shanti with a $2 super chat says, Shanti. That is all. Thank you, sir, he says. Thank you, Shanti. I do appreciate it. And speaking of him, whatever happened to, not Drew McIntyre, but his 3MB partner, Jinder Mahal? I thought he was going to be back anytime now. Although, he'll probably get lost in the shuffle very quickly. So we had Ricochet against Riddick Moss. Yep. Riddick Moss. For the 24/7 title. And I was thinking to myself, oh, okay. Ricochet went from fighting for the WWE title, and now as a consolation prize, he's going to win the 24/7 title. And this is going to be his big rebound, winning the 24/7 title. Well, guess what? This was even worse, what actually happened. Crowd chanted, "Who are you?" at Riddick Moss, and then, sure enough, Riddick Moss, the guy that people chanted, "Who are you?" at, beat Ricochet. Wow. That was a nice push Ricochet had for a while. He was doing pretty good. And now look at him. I'm sure somebody out there is going to say he wasn't buried and let's just see what happens. But yeah, you get squashed by Brock Lesnar and then you lose to Riddick Moss. Really? I'm almost at a loss for words here. I really am. I thought Paul Heyman was behind this guy. What's the dealio? Ken terminated by Google with a $2 super chat says, Ricochet equals the Tito Santana / Dwayne Gill of 2020? I hope not. I could see Ricochet going on Twitter and saying, well, keep in mind, guys, I won like all my matches in 2019. I had the best win-loss record or some crap like that. Well, you're only as good as your last win. I'm not sure who said that, but if nobody said it, I'm going to take credit for it. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, is EC3 more over than Ricochet? Well, I would say as of this moment, Ricochet is still more over than EC3, but he's moving down that ladder. He's getting close to EC3 territory. As long as he's on TV, I think he might still be a little bit above EC3. And then Tony H with the $2 super chat says, just move Ricochet to SmackDown or NXT at this rate. You know, that might be the plan here. Maybe Ricochet is being earmarked for SmackDown whenever they do the Superstars shakeup, or maybe they're going to wait until after WrestleMania to build him up again. I don't know. Maybe NXT is the best move. It's just a shame because Ricochet was one of those guys that, yeah, it wasn't a great promo, but man, the guy was such a spectacular performer. And look where he's at now. Like, they're really killing him with the booking. Ken terminated by Google with a $5 super chat. And thank you guys for the super chats. I really do appreciate it. He says, Rift, but seriously, are you frustrated as crap over Ricochet? The man is very talented, but needs to talk less like Tito Santana did in the 80s. Yeah, I would say the talking is probably not doing him any favors, but did you really need to squash the guy like that? Like, he's one of those guys that can just get over by doing amazing physical feats that most of us mortal humans could not even dream of doing. I mean, he is a human highlight reel. Let him do his thing. I don't get it because Paul Heyman has always been one of those guys that's like, make sure you hide the weaknesses and you showcase the strengths of the performers. So why was Ricochet cutting so many promos? It just goes to show that at the end of the day, it's still Vince's show. And Vince wants layers. Vince wants guys to be able to talk and sing and dance. All that stuff on top of wrestling. That's what Vince wants. He wants the whole package. He doesn't want a guy that just comes out there and does wrestling moves. But enough about that. We'll move on here. Hopefully he's not suspended. One person in the chat thought maybe he's going to be suspended, and that's why he's on this losing streak. I hope that's not the case. We had a recap of Super Showdown with The Undertaker beating AJ Styles with one choke slam. Ace in his familiar vlogs with a $2 super chat says, Ricochet will turn heel. That is a bad idea. Tito Santana never turned heel because he didn't really have the character to do it. Sami Zayn surprised me. Sami Zayn is a good talker, so he was able to pull it off, but Ricochet is a heel. I do not think that would work. I really don't. But anyways, we're moving on here past that. We had the OC come out. AJ Styles, of course, not in a good mood. He was frustrated. He showed footage of the actor Mark Wahlberg, who did a video promo giving AJ some advice. And his advice was to walk away. Just don't even bother with The Undertaker. And of course, behind him on the screen was a picture advertising his movie. And the announcers plugged his movie. So this was pretty cheesy. It was clearly just a way to plug Mark Wahlberg's movie. And he's like, oh yeah, AJ, whoever this guy is, stay away from The Undertaker. I wonder if he even knows who AJ Styles is, and he just was handed a script and said, say AJ Styles, walk away. I don't know. It was just dumb. I thought it was ridiculous. Ken, terminated by Google, insists on talking more about Ricochet with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Ken. He says, I am frustrated over Ricochet. If you booked Ricochet's role, would you draft him to 205 Live or NXT? Circa Finn Balor right now. I guess NXT at this point, or maybe just take him off TV. Maybe bring him back at WrestleMania as a surprise or something, and then have him go to SmackDown. But yeah, it's not looking too good for Ricochet right now. Going back to AJ Styles, he said he is not going to take Marky Mark's advice. He is on a collision course with The Undertaker. And he said that he considers what he does to Aleister Black as a warning to the dead man. Aleister Black came out, and AJ said that Aleister Black, it was scheduled to be AJ versus Aleister. AJ said that Aleister did not read the fine print of the contract. And in order to get a match with AJ, Aleister Black would have to go through Carl Anderson. Aleister did, in fact, get through Carl Anderson with the Black Mass. AJ got back on the mic and said, there's more fine print. Aleister Black has to beat not only Carl Anderson, but Luke Gallows as well. Gallows had a match with Aleister. Gallows got DQ'd when he refused to break the referee's 5 count. And then both members of the OC got in the ring, hit the Magic Killer, and then AJ Styles made short work of Aleister Black, hitting the Phenomenal Forearm and then doing the Undertaker's Rest in Peace pinfall to give Aleister Black, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong here, I believe this was Aleister Black's first one-on-one pinfall loss on the main roster. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I believe he lost a tag match, but it might have been Ricochet that took the fall. But I don't think Aleister has ever been pinned on the main roster. Now, of course, it really doesn't mean anything because he went through 2 other guys before getting beat by AJ. So it's not like it really hurts Aleister. But the question is, did it do anything for AJ? WWE's building up AJ Styles versus The Undertaker. Shouldn't AJ be getting decisive wins over people? And of course, WWE probably should not be booking this match in the first place. But shouldn't AJ be beating guys clean to set him up for The Undertaker? He beats Aleister Black in a fluke. So how does this make AJ Styles any more credible for The Undertaker? Dumb booking, in my opinion. Waste of time. I mean, it really did not hurt Aleister, but I don't think it did anything for AJ whatsoever. Not really a fan. Darren Frazier with the $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Darren. He says, I would have saved this match for a big pay-per-view. Well, they are doing a rematch. Of course they are. It's WWE. They always do immediate rematches. That's what they do. At Elimination Chamber, it will be Aleister Black versus AJ Styles. And again, why is this match being booked? I don't understand how this is going to do any favors for anybody. You're trying to build up AJ for Undertaker. He needs a decisive win. Aleister Black is pretty hot. WWE's been booking him strongly. So AJ beating Aleister clean, I really don't think is a good idea for Aleister. But AJ needs the win badly. I just don't think that this is the right pairing. And I see this as either another match with shenanigans, or you're going to have a clean finish that hurts one of the guys. So we'll see. We'll see if WWE can actually elevate both guys from this match. But this feels like a lose-lose situation. They might have a really good match, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Moving on here, we had a recap of the Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott storyline. We had Ruby Riott cut a promo saying she is now responsible for herself, not the Riott Squad members, and she said there are no friends in the Elimination Chamber. We had Ruby Riott versus Liv Morgan with Sarah Logan as the referee. So the 3 Riott Squad members all in this one match. Ruby hit a flatliner and Liv kicked out of it. However, when the kick out happened, Ruby accidentally bumped into Sarah Logan. And because of that, Sarah took a hesitation because she was recovering with Ruby's next pinfall attempt. Ruby was very unhappy about this. She shoved Sarah, and at this point, Liv rolled up Ruby, and Sarah Logan did a fast count, which ended in Liv Morgan picking up the victory. After the match, Sarah Logan shoved Ruby Riott down and then went after Liv because, of course, it's every woman for herself at the pay-per-view. This was fine, I guess. No real complaints here. Although I really don't care much about Sarah Logan at this point. Ruby, I don't know. I just don't buy into any of them being a realistic candidate to win on Sunday. But it was kind of cool to see the 3 of them in a match together. The Game is on 100 with a $2 super chat says, Riott Squad explode here at WrestleMania 6 in Vince's voice. The Riott Squad explode at WrestleMania. I can't do it very well because I still got a little bit of a sore throat here, but you guys, if you watch the old school WWE pay-per-views, just imagine Vince McMahon hyping up the Riott Squad exploding, just like the Mega Powers. My man, Walter Cruz, with a very generous $10 super chat. Thank you very much for that, Walter. He says, WWE needs to stop booking themselves into corners, learn from the mistakes of Wyatt versus Rollins, Now Black versus Styles. You already ruined the Fiend. Just stop. I agree with you, man. WWE has a tendency to do this, where the company books these matches where there's really not going to be an outcome that will elevate both guys. Somebody's going to get buried, or somebody's going to not really gain any momentum coming out of the match, or in some cases, neither person will gain any momentum from the match. And with NXT and what we've seen in AEW, when these guys have matches, a lot of times both people are elevated. The person that wins, of course, and then the person that loses also looks good in defeat. That's good booking. And making the right choices about what matches you're putting together. But WWE doesn't do that. They just throw matches together, it seems, without any real thought process behind it. Oh, and here's a doozy of a segment. Backstage, we had No Way Jose getting in the face of Eric Rowan. Jose and his conga line wanted to know what's inside Eric Rowan's cage. For the past 4 months, Rowan would not show what was inside the cage. But for whatever reason, on this night, Rowan decided to reveal to the world what was inside the cage. And it was a spider robot. A giant robot spider. Yeah. Not much else to say about it. It is what it is. A giant robot spider was inside Eric Rowan's cage. That was the payoff to this 4-month storyline. So there you go. Psycho Jet Black says the robot spider is more over than EC3. WWE would have been better off just making this total comedy. Darren Frazier with a $2 super chat says, better or worse than Al Snow in the head? I was just going to say, it should have been Al Snow's head as the object under the cage. That would have been funny at least. Or Mae Young's hand. I guess that would have been better than that. Spider. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Eric Rowan already lost his stock anyways, so I'm not even that mad because I don't care about Rowan, so why even bother with this? JSpin401 says it should have been Coco Beware's parrot. There you go. We had Kairi Sane versus Shayna Baszler. This was originally advertised as Asuka versus Shayna Baszler, but apparently Asuka suffered a wrist injury. Either that or WWE decided to make up an injury because they realized they were again booking themselves into a corner. Why would you book Asuka versus Shayna Baszler on a random edition of Raw? And maybe WWE decided better of it and went with Kairi instead. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, who do you honestly care about in WWE? Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, Daniel Bryan. Guess I care about Roman Reigns. But not a lot of other people. Maybe a few others, but not that many, to be totally honest with you. Thank you for the super chat. Asuka cut a promo before this match and said that Shayna Baszler is lucky tonight that she got injured. Kairi Sane said she's got this. She's going to take care of Shayna Baszler. And Asuka finished the promo by saying that Kairi is hungry for Shayna Baszler. Shayna came out. We had the match. Shayna was bending Kairi around, putting her in various holds. Asuka got on the apron for a distraction. Kairi got a near fall with a roll-up. Becky Lynch came out. And Becky was wearing a crown. Apparently this was spoofing Conor McGregor, but I don't follow MMA, so don't really know for sure on that. She was wearing a crown and she was wearing sunglasses indoors, which not a lot of people can pull off. I don't understand what WWE is doing with Becky. It's like they're trying to turn her heel now, I guess. Otherwise, I do not understand her coming out wearing this attire, because it's the kind of stuff that's going to get her booed, I think. You know, it comes off very cocky and arrogant. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe Shayna's going face and Becky's going to go heel. I don't know, but it's really weird to me. Anyways, Shayna Baszler picked up the victory, submission. No surprise here. Dylan says they're making Becky more cringe and repetitive. Maybe they're doing it on purpose, but who knows with WWE? You never know if they're actually thinking about this stuff, or they just think all the kids are going to see this as really cool. I don't know. Next up we had Rey Mysterio and Humberto Carrillo cutting a promo. Rey put over Humberto, saying he's the kind of guy that gets knocked down, but he keeps getting back up. We had a tag team match. Rey Mysterio and Humberto against Andrade and Angel Garza. Andrade and Garza were wearing their matching blue tights. I think they would make for a good tag team if they were going to be teaming up more often, which who knows if they will be or not. Anyways, Mysterio hit a double 619 to both of them, and then Humberto hit a moonsault to pin Andrade. Poor Andrade, coming back from suspension and two losses in a row for him. That'll show him. Keith Johnson with a $2 super chat says, in fairness, WWE doesn't give reason to care about talents. Again, I agree with you, Keith. Well said. And thank you for the super chat. Match was good, by the way, the tag match. You know, those guys always deliver in the ring. Darren Frazier with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Darren. He says, make this a fatal four-way ladder match at WrestleMania. I like it. I would be a fan of it. Andrade is still the U.S. champion, and WWE likes to do these multi-man matches. Why not? I'm all for it. We had our main event segment of the evening. Beth Phoenix came out to provide a medical update on her husband, Edge. However, before she could really say anything, Randy Orton came out and he offered his hand. He wanted to shake hands with Beth. She said, "You have a lot of gall to think I would shake your hand, you son of a bitch." She called him a son of a bitch. Grant Midnight Black Peoples with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Grant. He says, this was the most cringeworthy episode of Raw in a while. I actually don't think Raw was bad. It was really the opening segment and the closing segment really carried the show. And you had a few good matches. There were some cringe moments, though. I don't think this was one of them. This was a hell of a segment here. So, Randy Orton decided to explain to her personally why he attacked Edge. Crowd was chanting RKO, by the way, which that was a cringe moment. It's like the fans are chanting for this evil bastard to beat up a woman. Edge talked about the history, Randy Orton talked about the history between him and Edge. It was story time with Randy Orton. He talked about how at a live event in 1999, he was there as a fan. He was there with his father. He saw a bunch of wrestlers backstage: Stone Cold, The Rock, Mick Foley, Davey Boy Smith, which, interesting name drop. When was the last time Davey Boy Smith was ever name dropped among legends in WWE? I don't think he ever has been, with maybe one or two exceptions, but almost never. I think that's a hint. There's, of course, the big rumor, Davey Boy Smith going into the WWE Hall of Fame. Pretty sure this was done on purpose. This reference was for a reason. Got a $2.79 super chat from Mo Camera. Says, can you please get Streamlabs? Super chat too expensive. I got to figure out how that works. I'm not even sure if I can do that on these live streams. Maybe the No DQ review ones, but I would have to look into it. Thank you for that, though, Mo. I appreciate it. So anyways, Randy Orton was there with his dad. They did see Edge. Edge gave some praise to Cowboy Bob, Randy's dad, and then wished luck on Randy, saying maybe one day they'll get a chance to work together in WWE. Randy Orton talked about how eventually it became a reality. Randy Orton and Edge, they got to wrestle together. They formed Rated RKO, becoming tag team champions. However, Randy Orton got a little too close to the sun. He made some bad personal decisions, and it was Edge who saved him. Not only saved his career, but saved his life. And I agree more, Faves. I hope Cowboy Bob's arm is getting better. Best wishes out there to Cowboy Bob. He's been nursing that arm injury for a long time. By the way, Virtue's doing a plug for the No DQ review. That will be tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. If you guys have any suggestions for topics, let Virtue know in the chat room or on the comments section of this video. So Randy Orton brought up Edge's return and how Edge came back after the neck injury and being gone for so long. Randy revealed that he took out Edge because he doesn't want to see Edge get hurt again. He wants Edge to stay home with his family, raise his daughters, and then he said it's Beth's fault what happened to Edge. Because according to Randy, Beth is an enabler. Edge is a junkie. He is a junkie for the wrestling business, and Beth allowed him to come back because he just cannot stay away from the roar of the crowd. Randy did what he had to do to make sure Edge could be a father to his two little girls. Beth started crying, and then Randy really twisted the knife in the wound by saying that he loves Edge more than Beth ever could. And then he finished off by saying, truth hurts, doesn't it? Beth, of course, was outraged. She slapped him. Randy threw down the mic violently. They had a stare down. And then Randy called her a bitch. She kicked him in the gut, but then Randy no-sold the kick. And, of course, gave her the RKO, which we were all expecting. Medical team came down to check on her. I think Randy should have done more. I thought this was a great segment, but I think he should have hit that punt. I think that would have been the icing on the cake. Still, great segment here. One of the best promos of Randy Orton's career. Really well done. I'm glad they finally did the explanation. And this was a strong ending to Raw. Very strong. Like I said, strong start, strong finish, some good wrestling. Got a $10 super chat here from Walter Cruz. Thank you so much, Walter. I really appreciate it. He says, with the rise of AEW, you would think Vince would worry more about the talent and putting on a better product. You see fans are still willing to pay $50 to watch AEW on pay-per-view. Vince, learn and adapt. Well, if AEW continues to build momentum, Vince might be more inclined to do that, but I don't think he's really there yet. AEW is doing very well, but they're still struggling to get close to 1 million viewers. If they get up to 1.5 million on a regular basis, Vince might start to be worried. And if AEW starts selling out every week, which they haven't been, AEW is building their brand. They're doing really well. And yeah, you would think Vince might start putting the pedal to the metal now, but hasn't really happened yet. We'll see. We'll see if Vince continues to coast along or if maybe we'll get a big shakeup at some point. But as long as the Saudi money's coming in and people still attend WrestleMania and they draw 70,000 people, probably going to be business as usual. Got a $3 super chat from Grant Peoples. Says, have you watched any MLW shows on YouTube? I have not. It's just too much. I haven't really watched anything other than WWE, AEW, and I try to watch NWA Power, but that's pretty much it for me. You know, I never really watched much Ring of Honor. I do try to watch the occasional Impact Wrestling, but beyond that, like, I just got too much on my plate. But that's a good thing for wrestling fans. You got options. If WWE's boring you, there's always an alternative. And there's been more alternatives than there has been in a very long time. The game is on 100 with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. He says, I called it RKO to Beth Phoenix. I was right. You were right, but you were not the only one. I mean, we all pretty much expected that RKO to happen. Ken terminated by Google with a $5 super chat says, did Beth Phoenix get the concerto? If not, is it because Vince is afraid USA Network will get on his butt? By the way, I wonder what Beth would say on NXT. Well, I'm not sure if you're talking about for this Wednesday. She should not be on NXT. She should sell the injury. But yeah, I think maybe a second RKO or a punt would have been the icing on the cake. She did not get a concerto. She only got one RKO, which I guess theoretically could mean she will be on NXT, but I don't think she should. I think that she should sell the injury. Hoof-hearted with a $2 super chat says, $2 says they have a locker room pull-apart brawl next week. You might be right. I mean, I could see Edge just showing up and spearing Orton and then pointing at the sign. But mark my words, guys, we are probably not getting past WrestleMania without at least one contract signing. We might get two. We might get three. And we'll probably get a pull-apart brawl at least once. between now and WrestleMania. You know what's going to happen. It's like death and taxes. Death, taxes, contract signings, pull apart brawls. It's the way of life. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and do the letter grade now for Raw. There were some cringe moments, but overall, I did enjoy Raw. I'm going to give it a B-. Overall, fairly good show this week. Really, the strength of the opening segment and the closing segment made this Raw worth watching. And a couple good matches. Street Profits winning the tag titles. Both both tag matches were pretty good. Jeremy Dorsett with an A-, Joseph with a C-, Kev Dog with a B-, Mr. Anderson with a B, Dr. NXT Scorpio with a B-, People's Wrestling Channel with a B, Alex James with a B, Matt Helms with a B-, Grant Peoples with a C+, More Faves with a C+, Darren Frazier with a B-, Christopher Mace with a B+, and Peter with a C. So, somewhat mixed. I saw some A's, saw some B's, saw some C's. Looks like a lot of different opinions on Raw. Maybe a little bit more polarizing than most weeks. And I was kind of in the middle there with a B-. So that was Raw, everybody. I will be back tomorrow night with the No DQ panel, Team No DQ. We'll be talking about Revolution, talking about Raw, SmackDown, Elimination Chamber. That's tomorrow night. And then Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, predictions for Elimination Chamber. And don't forget, Wednesday night, AEW Dynamite recap. Hoof-Hearted with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Hoof-Hearted. He says, if WWE sells pay-per-view rights to ESPN Plus, do you think the WWE Network will lose its major selling point? Personally, I would not pay more than $10. I think WWE would lose some subscribers. The key would be if WWE sold their pay-per-view rights and ESPN Plus charged $50 a show. The question is, would WWE make more money than what they would lose in subscribers? I think that's the big question. I think there's a decent chance they might come out ahead because the network is a great bargain. I mean, it's an excellent bargain. Yeah, losing the pay-per-views would suck. Now, would that include NXT? Would it include the takeovers? If everything went, WWE might lose a lot of subscribers, but if it's only like the major shows that go on ESPN Plus, like WrestleMania, if it was like the Big Four or even Money in the Bank, WWE might be able to get away with it and not take a huge blow with subscribers. That's just my gut feeling because I think if people could get some shows on the network, they would probably keep their subscription. I mean, all the archive content alone is worth it to me. When you get all the past pay-per-views and, all the different shows that they have. But yeah, I mean, I think the number one draw is the pay-per-view events. So it just depends on which pay-per-views would go on ESPN Plus. If it's everything, including NXT, that might be a rough situation for WWE. They might be in trouble as far as losing a lot of subscribers. So we'll see. It's definitely a risk, and time will tell how far WWE decides to go with it. But yeah, I mean, I said this from the beginning. WWE made a mistake with putting all the pay-per-views on the network in the first place. They gave the fans too good of a deal. WWE watered down the value of the pay-per-views by putting them on the network. They should have had all the archive content and maybe some of the minor pay-per-views, but kept the major ones on traditional pay-per-view. I think they devalued their pay-per-views by putting everything on the network for $9.99. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, can you cut a better promo than Ricochet? Probably not. I mean, I'm not in the wrestling business. I'm not all about cutting promos. But maybe EC3 could cut a better promo than Ricochet. Maybe he would get more over than EC3 if he could actually cut a promo. Anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this live stream. Thank you all so much for watching and supporting the website. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all the very latest news and rumors. Keep spreading the word, and I'll see you guys next time.